You are not lazy. You have never been lazy. Not once. Not ever. And I know that sounds like a kindness, like something a friend says when they see you struggling and they want to make you feel better. But I am not trying to comfort you right now. I am telling you the truth. A truth that will be difficult at first, not because it is harsh, but because it asks you to let go of a story you have been telling yourself for a very long time. By the end of this, you will not believe me because I was convincing. You will believe me because you will finally see what was really happening. All along. The word lazy. Say it quietly in your mind right now. Feel what it does inside your chest. Feel the way your whole body tightens around it, almost like flinching. That word has been pressing down on you for months, maybe years. And you placed it there yourself, or worse, someone placed it there for you when you were too young to refuse, and you have been carrying it ever since, believing it was your name. It is not your name. But I cannot simply tell you that and expect you to believe me. So instead, let me describe your life. And if I get it right, if what I say next sounds like I have somehow been standing in the corner of your room watching you, then maybe you will trust me enough to hear what comes after. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you feel is not rest. It is a kind of pressure. Before your eyes are fully open, before your feet touch the floor, something settles over your body like a second gravity. It is not sleepiness. You know what sleepiness feels like, that soft pull back toward the pillow. This is different. This is thick. This is dull. This whispers, before the day has even begun, what is the point of any of it? You reach for your phone, not because you want to, because the screen is easier than the silence. And in the silence, there are questions that sit on your chest like stones. So you scroll. And you see other people living what appears to be a completely different kind of life. People with energy. People who post their accomplishments like it cost them nothing at all. And with every image, every smiling face that seems to have figured out a secret you were never told, the distance between their life and yours stretches wider. You have felt this, haven't you? Then comes the guilt. The guilt is the cruelest part, because the guilt says you should be doing more. You should be further ahead. You should be able to get up and move and function like a normal person. What is wrong with you? And here is what no one ever tells you about guilt. It does not motivate. It poisons. The very emotion that is supposed to push you forward pins you down instead, into the bed, into the couch, into the screen, into the nothing. The guilt does not create energy. It steals whatever energy you had left. Isn't it so? And then the loop begins. You try. You set an alarm. You make a plan. You download an app or buy a journal or watch a video that promises this time will be different. And tomorrow comes, and for one day, maybe two, maybe a glorious week, something shifts. You feel a spark, and you think, finally, I am becoming the person I am supposed to be. But the fog returns. It always returns. And you find yourself back where you started, except now you are not just stuck. You are stuck and disappointed, stuck and ashamed, stuck and more convinced than ever that the word is true. That you are, at your core, fundamentally lazy. I know this loop. I have watched it slowly dismantle people, not because it kills them, but because it teaches them something far more destructive. It teaches them to stop believing in themselves. Every failed routine becomes a piece of evidence. Every abandoned plan becomes further proof, and the verdict grows louder every night. I am lazy. I am broken. I will always be this way. Hello, I need you to hear something now, not as comfort, as a correction. This loop, this pattern you are caught inside, is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something is wrong with what you are carrying, and those are two very different things. You are not lazy. You are exhausted. Exhausted from trying to make yourself care about a life that was never yours to live. Sit with that for a moment. Do not rush past it. Let it reach the part of you that has been waiting to hear it. You are not lazy. You are drained from carrying things that do not belong to you. And that exhaustion, the one you have been calling laziness, the one you hate yourself for at 2 in the morning, is not a character flaw. It is the most honest part of you. It is your body whispering what your mind refuses to say out loud. This is not the way. So if laziness is not your problem, if that word has been a misdiagnosis this entire time, then what is actually happening? Why can you not make yourself move? In the Buddhist tradition, there is a teaching called right effort. And it does not mean more effort. It does not mean try harder, push further, grind longer. It means effort that is pointed in the right direction. Effort that flows the way your life was actually meant to go. Imagine a river. When the channel is clear, the river does not need motivation to flow. It moves with power and ease because nothing stands in the way. No one looks at a rushing river and says, "That river has excellent discipline." No, the river moves because the water and the path agree. But when the channel is blocked, when years of fallen trees and heavy stones dam the way, the water pools. It goes still. It sits there, flat and lifeless. And someone walking past might look at that stagnant water and say, "What a lazy river." But the river is not lazy. The river is blocked. It has the same current it always had, the same gravity pulling it forward. It simply cannot flow until the dam is cleared. Does this make sense? You are not a lazy river. You are a blocked one. And no amount of willpower will make you flow until you remove what is standing in the way. This is exactly why discipline never lasts. Not for you, not for anyone fighting against the wrong current. Discipline is pouring more water into a river that is dammed. More pressure, more volume, more force. And what happens? The water rises for a moment. You feel the surge of a fresh start, a new commitment. And then it settles, because the dam has not been touched. You have been flooding a blocked engine with fuel, and then calling yourself broken when the car will not start. You have tried this, haven't you? The routines, the alarms, the cold showers that lasted 4 days, the journal with 11 pages filled, and then silence. And every single time the fog came back, you believed the failure belonged to you. But the failure was never yours. The method was wrong. You were treating a disease you do not have. The ancient yogic tradition teaches that there are 3 kinds of energy inside every person: tamastic energy, slow, foggy, inert. This is where you have been drowning. Then rajasic energy, frantic, restless, burning. This is what the world tells you to chase. Hustle, grind, punish yourself into motion. But the sages understood what the motivational speakers do not. The cure for paralysis is not panic. There is a third energy, sattvic, clear, calm, and fully alive. The energy of a person who knows exactly why they are moving. And this energy does not come from discipline. It comes from alignment. From knowing somewhere beneath your thoughts that the path beneath your feet is actually yours. Discipline is what you need when you are walking in the wrong direction. Alignment is what makes discipline unnecessary. Your body already knows this. Your mind says, "I should want this career, I should be grateful, everyone else handles this fine." But your body will not cooperate with what your soul knows is false. That resistance you feel when you sit down to work on something meaningless, that fog that rolls in the moment you try to force yourself through another empty day, that is not laziness. That is your deepest intelligence protecting you. The wisest part of you refusing to spend your one irreplaceable life on someone else's idea of how it should be lived. You have been calling that refusal a character flaw. It is not a flaw, it is a compass, and it has been pointing you towards something real this whole time. You just could not hear it over the noise of the word lazy. You do not need to fix your energy. You need to change your direction. I want to tell you a story now, about a young man who was sure as you are, that he was the laziest person who ever lived, and about an old monk who showed him what he was really carrying. There was a young man who walked 3 days to reach a monastery high in the mountains. He was not injured, he was not ill, but he moved the way burdened people move, not burdened in body, burdened in everything else. At the monastery he found an old monk sweeping the courtyard. The monk swept the way wind moves through tall grass, slowly, completely, with no hurry to finish. Each stroke of the broom was enough. The young man watched for a long time. Then he dropped to his knees and said, "Teacher, I need your help. I am the laziest person alive." The monk stopped. He looked at the young man with the kind of attention most people are never given in their entire lives. Not pity, not judgment, just the full, steady warmth of someone who is truly listening. "Tell me," the monk said. And the young man poured out everything. The mornings that felt like surfacing from underwater, the work his father had chosen for him, respectable and safe, and so distant from anything that made his pulse quicken. The evenings of collapse, not from honest effort, but from the drain of pretending to be someone else for 8 hours. The plans that turned to smoke, the promises broken. "I have no discipline," the young man said. "I have no fire. I am empty." The monk listened without a single interruption. When the young man finished, the monk walked to a small stone building and returned with a large cloth bag, clinking and shifting with the sound of something dense inside. He placed it at the young man's feet. "Carry this to the top of the mountain. When you reach the summit, I will teach you what you came here to learn." The young man lifted the bag. It was far heavier than it appeared. But desperation gives people a temporary kind of strength, so he began to climb. The path rose steeply. Within minutes his shoulders screamed, his thighs trembled, his breathing became shallow and ragged. But he kept going, because he was certain that his failure to carry this bag would be final proof of the laziness that had ruined everything else. If he could just push through, if he could just be strong enough this one time. Halfway up the mountain, his legs buckled. He fell hard on the rocky path, with the bag pressing him into the earth, and lying there, pinned and gasping, he felt the accumulated mass of every failure he had ever collected, every project abandoned, every promise broken. Every morning he could not bring himself to rise. "I cannot do it," he said. Then, barely a whisper, "There is something wrong with me." The monk had been following a few paces behind, silent the entire way. He knelt beside the young man, opened the bag. The young man loosened the drawstring with shaking fingers and looked inside. Stones, dozens of smooth, dense stones, and on each one a word had been carefully painted. The monk reached in and lifted the first. He held it so the young man could read it. "A career chosen by your father." He set it on the ground. "Is this yours?" He lifted the second. "Other people's expectations. Did you ask for this?" A third. "A version of success you did not design." A fourth. "Promises you made because you could not bear to say no." A fifth. "The belief that you must earn the right to rest." One by one he laid them on the mountain path, each stone heavy, Each stone bearing a weight the young man recognized instantly, not because the monk had studied his life, but because certain burdens are carried by so many people they might as well be etched into the human condition. The young man stared at the row of stones beside him in the dirt, and something behind his eyes gave way. Not understanding yet, something that arrives just before understanding, recognition. "You came to me," the monk said softly, "and told me you were lazy, that you had no fire, no strength, no willpower." He pointed at the stones. "But you carried all of this halfway up a mountain. Tell me honestly, does that sound like a man with no strength?" The young man could not answer. "You were never lazy, you were never weak. You have been carrying a mountain before you ever tried to climb one. And the cruelest thing of all is that you mistook the weight for yourself. You thought the heaviness was your own failure. It was never your failure. It was never even your bag." "How do I put them down?" the young man asked. The monk smiled. The quiet, certain smile of someone who has been waiting a very long time for exactly that question. "You just did. You put them down by seeing them. A stone you can name is a stone you can set on the ground. It is the unnamed weight that cannot be put down, because you cannot release what you do not know you are holding." The young man rose slowly. Without the bag, his body felt strange, almost unrecognizable, light in a way that frightened him. He had lived with that weight so long that its absence felt like floating. "Now climb," said the monk, and the young man climbed. Not through willpower, not through gritted teeth and clenched fists and the grim determination the world always said he needed. He climbed because his legs wanted to climb. Because without the false weight, his body remembered something it had forgotten, that it was built to move. He reached the summit in half the time, breathing hard and laughing and weeping and making no effort to separate the two. "I did not know I could move like this," he said. The monk arrived behind him, unhurried as always, and stood looking out over the valley, all that distance, all that open sky. Then he said the thing the young man would carry for the rest of his life. Not as a stone this time, as a lantern. No one is lazy. Some people are just buried. Now, this story is not about a young man on a mountain. You know that. You have known it since the first stone came out of that bag. So let me ask you what the monk asked, and answer honestly, not to me, to yourself. It is just you right now, and whatever hour it is, and the quiet space between hearing something true and deciding what to do about it. What are you carrying that you did not choose? Not what you think you should be carrying. What actually sits on your chest at the end of the day and makes the air feel thin? Is it a career someone else decided was practical enough for you? Is it a picture of success you absorbed from a screen before you were old enough to know it was not your own? Is it a relationship held together not by love, but by the fear of what honesty would cost? A schedule designed entirely around what others need, with nothing left for what you need from yourself? Name the stone. You do not have to throw it off the mountain tonight. You do not have to rebuild your entire life by morning, but name it, because the monk was right. A weight you cannot name is a weight you cannot set down. And you have been carrying unnamed things so long that you forgot they were separate from you. That pressure you feel is not who you are. It is what you are holding. They were never the same thing. You are allowed to see this. You are allowed to admit that something in your life is not working, not because you are failing at it, but because it was never yours to begin with. You have permission. Not from me. From the part of yourself that has been signaling through the exhaustion, through the fog, through every morning you could not rise. That signal was never weakness, it was wisdom. It was your own soul saying, clearly and repeatedly, "This is not the way." There is a Zen teaching about a monk who swept the same temple courtyard every morning for 40 years. One day, a visitor watched him and asked, "How do you make yourself do this? Every day? What discipline do you use?" The monk looked genuinely confused by the question. He said, "Discipline? The floor is dirty and I love this temple." That was all. No system, no app, no accountability. The action was connected to something real, something that belonged to him, and the energy to do it was simply there. It did not need to be manufactured or forced or shamed into existence. That is what right action feels like, not pushed, not performed, just obvious. The way reaching for someone you love is obvious. When the action truly belongs to you, you do not need to be motivated. You need to be set free. You know, the world will tell you to be more disciplined. I will tell you something different. Discipline is what you need when you are walking the wrong direction. When you are finally walking your direction, you will not need to be pushed forward. You will need to be slowed down. Think of something you genuinely love, something you lose yourself in. Did you need someone holding you accountable for that? Did you force yourself through it? No. The energy was already there effortlessly because the thing was worthy of it. You do not have a motivation problem, you have a meaning problem. And the moment you find the meaning, the energy that has been missing will flood back into your body like it was never gone, because it was never gone. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man alive struggled to get out of bed. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal about how difficult mornings were. He did not pretend to leap up burning with purpose, but he did not punish himself. He asked one question, not "What is wrong with me?" He asked, "What was I made for? Was I made to lie here where it is safe and warm? Or was I made to do the work of a human being?" He did not discover discipline. He discovered reason, his own reason, and it did what no alarm or shame ever could. It drew him upward. Here is how you find your own direction. When you imagine doing something, truly imagine it with no pretending. Notice what your body does. If it feels like sinking, that is not the thing. That is another stone. But if it makes you nervous, if there is a tremble in your stomach, a quickening in your chest, that is not laziness and it is not fear. That is recognition. That is your energy finding something worth burning for. Follow that signal. It has always known the way. You do not need everything figured out. You need one honest step, one stone set down, one quiet admission. This is not working, and I deserve to discover what will. You are allowed to put down what was never yours. You do not have to earn that right. It was always yours. Let me leave you with something to carry now, not a stone, a lantern. The fire in you never went out. It could not, because it is not the kind of fire that needs motivation or a routine or the perfect conditions. It is the fire of being alive itself. It was there when you were a child and could play for hours without anyone telling you to start and without ever wanting to stop. It was there the last time you vanished completely into something that mattered. It is there right now, underneath everything. Dimmed, yes. Buried beneath everything you have been carrying. But burning, still burning. Patient. The way only a fire that knows it cannot be extinguished can afford to be patient. It has been waiting for you to stop dragging yourself up someone else's mountain so it could finally light the path to your own. And this is why you will never be lazy again. Not because I handed you a new technique, not because you will wake up tomorrow with iron willpower, but because you have seen something tonight that cannot be unseen. You cannot go back to calling yourself lazy now that you understand you were buried. You cannot keep climbing the wrong mountain now that you know yours exists somewhere, real and waiting and wondering what took you so long. The word lazy will fall away from you like a coat that never fit. Because it never fit. It was never even yours. So put down the stones. Not all at once if that is too much. Start with one, the oldest one, the one that has been pressing into your shoulders so long you forgot it was there. You already know which one it is. Your body has been trying to tell you its name for years. And when you feel the lightness, that strange, almost frightening openness of a weight finally released after so long, do not run from it. That is not emptiness. That is space. Space for something true to enter. Space for the life that has been waiting for you on the other side of everything you were told you should be. Remember the young man on the mountain. He did not become someone new. He did not unlock a hidden strength. He simply set down what was never his. And what remained, what had been there all along, underneath the stones, underneath the shame, underneath that terrible word, was more than enough. It was always enough. You were never lazy. You were buried, and now you know the way out. May you have the courage to name your stones. May you have the gentleness to set them down without guilt. May the lightness you find on the other side remind you of who you were before the world loaded your arms with things that did not belong to you. And may you walk toward your own mountain with the quiet, steady fire of someone who finally knows exactly why they are moving. If this found you tonight, if something here reached the part of you that had been waiting to be understood, leave one word in the comments, just one word, unburied, so that tomorrow you can look at it and remember what became clear tonight. And so that someone else, scrolling alone at 2 a.m, carrying the same unnamed weight you carried, will see that word and know, before they even press play, that they are not alone. Walk lightly now. Your mountain is waiting, and I promise you, you will not need to be carried to the top.